You've got questions about fitness, nutrition, mindset, health as a whole, and I'm here to help answer them. From fat loss and strength training to post rehab and building a truly sustainable approach to wellness, my goal is to help you build a strong, healthy body and mind that actually lasts. I'm Ray Cook, and if you're ready for practical, no fluff guidance that you can use right away, you're in the right place. So let's dive in.
Anyhow, the question for today: why am I exercising but not seeing results? I wanted to talk about this one for a bit because I saw it on the list. I'm like, that is a great question. Everyone has that at some time or another, myself included. I think some of you have asked me that question within the past month, because results is a very vague term and it means many different things, and the background of it can mean many different things. So, context of the question: one of the most emotionally loaded questions. I would absolutely agree with that. Often linked to inconsistent routines, underfueling, stress, sleep, hormones. Huge opportunity for education and reassurance. And that last piece is exactly why I wanted to share this, or dive into this one, because this conversation can make a huge difference. It can be a huge perspective shift, and everybody, if you have not felt this, I would be shocked. Everybody I have spoken with has felt this at one time or another. So you are in very good company if you've ever thought that. Why is it that you are exercising and not receiving results? Now, let me add more context to the already contextualized question. I'm sorry, I keep finding hairs from either Evie or Lily or both in my beard. My apologies. Context on top of that statement and their context. Usually when I get the question of why is it that I'm doing this and I'm not seeing the result that I'm looking for? And it's usually not even that, because usually there's more to it. Anyhow, it's all result driven in that focus. If your only focal point for success when it comes to exercise, nutrition, just doing what it is that we do all the time, which is honestly a lot. We don't focus just on the exercise side of things. We do a lot of the mental side of things because that's highly important. But if your only focus is exercise, and your only focus is the outcome of exercise, is to either get stronger or have very visible defined muscle or muscle tone, there's a big bubble that can be easily burst. Very easy. Because all of those things are highly dependent on so many factors just outside of exercise that most of us don't consider, or at least we might consider, but we don't give a whole lot of weight to. I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to respond to it, but if you guys want to answer the question in the comments, by all means, rip into it. When you think of what do I have going on, what is the outcome of exercise, what would I like to see, what is your first thought? Where does your mind go when you hear, I'm going to start exercising, this is what's going to happen? What do you think the purpose of exercise is? And is there anything more that drives the result of that? A lot of times, and this is only true typically when I see it anyhow, a lot of times when I talk to people at the beginning of when they're starting out, they view exercise as either I don't want to get bulky, so I don't want to work out hard, or the opposite, I'm going to start exercising and I'm going to just blow up. It's wildly one of those two, almost every single time with beginner people, which is perfectly reasonable, because how would you know any differently? You wouldn't. Everything out there right now is, if you work, and I say right now, it's a very broad statement, because it's been forever that I know of. Everything out there is geared towards, a lot of things are geared toward, in 90 days, you're going to see this. In 6 months, you're going to see this. Get this thing in 12 weeks, which is the same way as saying in 90 days usually, give or take. There's so many ways to say what you're going to see is a very short-term thing. You don't have to do this forever. Go kill it. And by the end of that period of time, most of those things don't come true, because physiologically, it's very interesting when it comes to strength and muscle building period. In that first, and correct me if I'm wrong, fact check me by all means, please do, because I can't remember the exact time frame. It's been a little bit since I've looked into this. The physiological adaptation phase of building muscle versus building strength are very dramatically different. Meaning within the first, I believe, I could be wrong here, 6 to 8 weeks is purely physiological adaptation. You aren't seeing shit. You are feeling substantial changes. You're noticing your strength increase, you're noticing your abilities increase, your capacity for doing things is increased, but nothing visibly has changed. because physiologically, your central nervous system, your muscles are adapting to this, but they're not hypertrophying, which is building in size. They're not doing that. So in that capacity of thinking, when we look at like a 6 to 8 week, and I could be wrong on that time frame. By all means, fact check me on that because I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. That is not a window of time that would be feasible to see these things for most beginning people. Some people are anomalies. Some people you'll see in 90 days just blow up. Some people just drop in weight. Some people just completely shift in a small time frame. That is not at all the norm. So when it comes to like those short-term things, the things that you think are like rapid fire, this is happening, it doesn't exist. So when it comes to like the question that we're posing is why am I exercising but not seeing results? It depends on two things. Well, more than two things, but let's focus on two things for a second. What is the result you're looking for? And what's the time frame? Sure, there's a thumbs up. And I'm trying to build strength, gain muscle, and lose fat. I haven't gotten bulky yet, but I do see small changes. Can actually see biceps now. Get it? You can't see mine because they're hidden behind a sweatshirt. But absolutely, absolutely. Like the cool thing, and I'm just going to highlight you for a second, Ann, because you and I have been talking for a hot bit. You've been exercising before you and I had met. You've been doing a lot of the right stuff for a long period of time. You've gone through dramatic changes over a long period of time, and you're seeing those results stack up. And like you said, to your credit, you haven't gotten bulky yet. Like, I want to highlight this piece just as like a discernment from people to people or like gender to gender specifically. When I hear women and when like research has shown that women state they're going to get bulky when it comes into strength training, hypertrophy training, just muscle building, the amount of effort, sheer effort that it takes to get to the level of like quote unquote bulky or lean or toned or whatever language you want to use for women is disproportionately gigantic compared to men, period. So a lot of times when you see these ripped, super lean, let's say like these really big women that just have giant muscles, they're putting in a tremendously large amount of work. And not every time, I can't say this every time because that's not always true, but many times they're also on some supplemental steroid to help them. Because as well as physiologically, women don't have the same stuff going on as dudes do to help with building and dropping. We don't have those things going on at the same degrees. So women have to bust their ass to a much larger capacity to see those things that they're looking for. I know all of you can attest to that. All of you. Well, Dave can't. Dave can't. So I put that one out there. Dave can't really attest to that one. Dave's a dude like me. So, but at least from what I've seen, worked with, talked to you guys, read about, women have to bust their ass to see half of these things be true. So when it comes to that piece of like the bulky side of things, I tangented for a second on purpose with that. And you are living proof that that is true. You bust your ass and still have not gotten bulky yet. Like that's the crazy piece. You put in a tremendous amount of effort when you go. Like you said, that is their full-time job. That is their focal point. That's not most of our focal points. Like again, I've said this many times for myself. I'm tangenting back into hopefully the conversation. My goal in no way is to have a six-pack. It used to be at one point because I thought that was like the ideal thing. Like this was the thing. Once you have a six-pack, you're super healthy. That was before I ever started actually getting into this and learning anything. I don't give two craps if that's the case. I enjoy what I eat. I enjoy the types of beverages I drink, even though it's usually just coffee, 0 calorie, or anything. I enjoy the things that I do. I would rather have health as a whole be my focal point than a very different skewed reality of health based off of magazines, social media, influencers, like all the different things. You go talk to a bodybuilder and they'll tell you the same thing. The amount of work it takes to look like them is completely unprecedented. And to hold that or sustain that year round for the majority of people is absurd. So please take that in mind. Please take it as a grain of salt when it comes with, I want to look like this. Let's give context. Let's come up with more. Hold on, I'm going to read your guys' comments. Dave, my two major goals, feel stronger and lose weight, but overarching all of that is gaining the tools to build a healthier me. And both of those are phenomenal goals. Like if we just take out even the healthier you and do focus on the stronger and lose weight, those are both phenomenal, ideal ways to go for some people. And they're completely realistic and they're completely valid. There's nothing wrong with that. But the overarching umbrella is that last sentence you stated. I want to figure out the tools to actually be healthier forever, not just do this for a bit and then shit, I gotta do it again. How do we make this the thing that we just do? And we all have six packs, Ray. There's under a layer of insulation. Damn straight we do. Some of us have kegs. Some of us have six packs. I'm snapping for no reason, apparently. We're rolling with it. I'm not done with this question anyway. We got a long ways to go. That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Oh, okay. I got a cake for the party. Thanks, Dave. I need that. That's funny. All right. Why am I exercising but not seeing results? That is the question that we're still focused on. I know I tangent all the time. That is nothing new. We are very, very well aware of that at this point. Let's come back to the results piece. Defining what your results are is huge. Defining your time frame is huge. Let's look at the other things, though, that impact those results, especially in any given time frame. What's going on when you're not in the gym? What's going on when you're not working out? If you said nothing, shit, dude, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. The amount of stuff we all have going on outside of exercise, working out at the gym, working at home, whatever, is absurd. High stress, demands of family, work, life stuff, random shit that pops up. Your car broke down. What do I eat? Where do I eat? Am I going to make it? Can I afford it? How close am I to food? Stress levels, sleep levels. Do I sleep enough? Do I sleep at all? When I do sleep, is it quality? How do I feel rested overall? I'm just listing off a bunch of very, very important things that most of us just discredit entirely. We're not talking vacations. We're not talking trips. We're not talking anything else. Things that dramatically impact your physiological state will have a dramatic impact on the results and the time frame in which you're going to see them, as well as sustain, as well as drop. Like, there are so many factors outside of exercise and eating well that go into all of this, that if you have a dramatic swing to either way or to whatever way, things will not look the same going forward. You need to adjust. There needs to be something that gets looked at or evaluated, or at the very least, some grace given to the fact that life just took a 2x4 and smacked you in the face. How do we navigate that? We set up, like Dave said earlier, I want to learn the tools to set up for a healthier me. Period. The goal is not only I need this result, I need to make sure that I have this time frame in mind. Those things are important to help navigate and guide us. That's it. That's it. We got to figure out the other stuff to help build us back up through the times when we drop off. We've all had times where we drop off, and that's completely normal and natural. I mean, something to like go back like literally a year ago is like when I was telling you guys I had to go in for the hernia surgery way back when. The main thing I made sure that I was talking about was the fact that I will have to lay low. I will absolutely lose strength. My overall capability and capacity will decrease. It's going to be weird, and it's going to be okay. The reason I emphasize that was because for also a lot of people I've worked with, just because of the physical therapy background, I've seen an injury happen, a surgery follow through with that, like because they need the surgery to some degree, and they go into physical therapy and then they just stop because things look and feel very different. But if you can do, just like Dave said in that very last piece of his comment, just give today's 100% at every point in your life, period, from this point forward, it will not be as challenging in terms of just showing up. Because let's say you want to show up tomorrow and you get sick. Don't go do a workout. Like, I can't stress that enough. Don't go work out when you're just suddenly sick. Maybe give it a day. And that day's 100% might be walking from the couch to the toilet to throw up and back. And that's it. And then the next day you feel marginally better. Maybe that's a good opportunity to walk around your house a little bit. And then that's it. And you scale it. But if we view it from the lens of this is 100%, and if I don't hit this, then everything else sucks, we're in the shitter. We're toast. But if we instead view it as like, today I'm going to hit it at 100% of what I've got, every day goes like this, as it should normally go. I remember a statement that I heard back when I was in school from one of my professors, and she's like, everybody seeks, this is a paraphrase, Everybody seeks homeostasis, which is just like this idea of staying level all the time, where in reality, we're always in a sense of homeokinesis, I think is what she said, where we're constantly in the state of gradual movement like this. We don't want, and we likely will never have homeostasis perfectly all the time. We are going to have some level of homeokinesis where we do this and shift and ebb and flow and adjust because there's no other way to go through life. Stuff happens. We all know this, but that directly impacts the results you're going to see. So when we hear the question, circling back to the initial question, so I don't completely tangent like crazy, of why am I exercising but not seeing results? You are seeing results. You 100% are seeing results. It might not be forward giant results. It might be plateaued sideways progress results because you showed up today. But unless you just throw in the towel and quit, you are making progress towards the results you're talking about. You're just not seeing the overarching picture that you wanted, which is fine. And it's okay to be upset about that, but don't discredit the hard work you're putting in amidst all this chaos that you're navigating. It's hard. None of this would be easy. If this was easy, we wouldn't have to have this conversation. None of us would probably be in this community. I probably wouldn't be doing this work because this shit sucks and it's hard. We need support. We need each other. We need somebody to just help say, let's go do this. Let's go make this happen. Let's figure out how to adjust. Because if there's one thing that's true for all of us, learning how to navigate and adjust on the fly is dramatically more important than coming up with this perfect, ideal way of doing everything. Does not make sense to do that. Figure out how to ebb and flow. So, as the grand scheme of the whole conversation goes, trust in yourself. You are seeing the results. Taper off a little bit if you need to. Add a little bit if you need to. Figure out where you're at in the moment. And something that could really help all of us, and this is why I pushed so many of you to do this, and I still have more of you to push on to doing this because I have to remind a lot of us, myself included at times, that wellness vision, if you remember me talking about months and months and months and months ago, that's important because what that does is it paints a picture of what do I want? What is the stuff that I value? What are the strengths that I have? What stuff's important to me? What do I want out of my life so that by some point I get to be at this point? Because all that wellness vision does is it helps us reverse engineer everything that we want to do and figure out how do we fail proof this? How do we make it so that when we struggle, we can actually navigate through stuff? What do? We have a fallback. The next time we struggle with our motivation to show up, we can look at that and be like, oh yeah, this is why I started doing this in the first place. This would be really cool to feel one day. Or, oh yeah, when I'm at this point in life, I would love to be able to still do this. Cool. Let's go back to it. If the why isn't strong enough, if your wellness vision isn't strong enough to support what it is you want, then let's go back to the drawing board. Let's rewrite it because it's not like it's written in stone where you cannot change it. It is a guide. That's it. It is your vision. It is your picture for what you want to see out of yourself based off of all the things that are important to you. And likely it won't change dramatically, but the picture may adjust a bit. There might be more trees. There might be more clouds. There might be a separate thing going down. But the premise is the same because the foundation is there. We build up from there and then we go on. Dave, I need to learn to focus on today's best. Sometimes I say, well, today's shot in lieu of what can I really do today? Though that's a Mindset Monday chat. But you're absolutely correct. And the nice thing is like this conversation, this is why I wanted to have this conversation and why I was looking forward to this one so much, is because this question spurs on so much. There's so many ways to take this question, so many ways to correct course and adjust with the conversation. The questions should arise amidst it. And that's how it goes. But in reality, just like you said, how do I show up in lieu of what I'm feeling? What can I really do today? If that's always the question, what is a reasonable thing for me to do today? What can I actually do today? Then you're looking significantly more improved in terms of like sustainability with all this than shit, today's shot. Dang, that's not gonna work out. I can't do that today. 2 to 5 minutes. If that is literally all you can do, go do it. Because the cool thing is by the time you did anything, you go to bed, you're like, I actually did something. That's pretty cool. I didn't think I would. I'm proud of myself. It builds trust, it builds confidence, it builds so many different things. But show up for yourself. Do something. Doesn't matter how much. especially when you're just trying to keep the ball rolling because everything's crazy and you barely have control and you're losing your mind and you're in the hole underwater. Take a deep breath. You can do it. It's hard, but it's never going to be easy. So do what you can to keep taking that right next step forward and reevaluate every step as needed, because it does not have to be set in stone. I hope that made sense. I hope I didn't deviate too much in this conversation, or at least if I did deviate in tangent, that it was kind of on point and helpful with this conversation. I don't really know, but I hope you guys got something out of it. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the replay comments, whatever, what your biggest takeaway was. What are you going to focus on in the next week? Just whatever your thoughts were. If you had more questions spurred from this, let me know. But guys, go have an awesome Friday. Enjoy yourselves. Don't go too crazy. Let's get after it.
You got a question for the next Q&A? Drop it in the comments. If you want deeper support, consider subscribing or joining our coaching community where we host multiple live calls every week. The link's in the description. And if this helped you in any way, please share it with someone who's also working on their health too. And remember to stay active, eat mindfully, think positive thoughts, and let's get after it.